Throughout the entire course of history, we are going to follow a very simple pattern. And that pattern is nothing but SFC, story, fact, and concept. Now, why I'll be going through story, because it is quite easier to remember the fact and the concept when it is in the format of a story. Isn't that so? For example, whenever you go for a movie, you remember the songs of the movie, you remember the incidences of the movie, you remember the dialogues of the movie. Why? Because the entire movie is in the format of a story. Throughout the history course, we are going to follow a very simple pattern, that is story, fact, and concept. Because I personally feel that it is quite easier to remember the fact and concept when it is in the format of a story. Isn't that so? So let's get started. Today we are going to discuss about 2 to 3 major stories. All the stories are quite interesting in nature. Secondly, it will clear all your doubts. And third most important aspect, it would be quite useful for you in the prelims as well as the mains exam. History can also be a sort of an enjoyment learning process. Are you getting the points clear? Many a time students feel that history is a boring subject. History requires rote memorization of the facts. History requires remembering the chronology. I personally say history is a quite interesting subject. Just everything needs to be studied in a simplified format. So let's get started. Let me start with Alexander's invasion. Now, it is said that, listen, we'll go with for everything in a format of a story so that it becomes quite easier for you guys to remember. Are you getting the points clear? So let's get started with Alexander's invasion. Alexander the Great, he is known as one of the great conquerors of the world. Are you getting the points clear? Now it is said that Alexander was son of Philip of Macedonia. And at that point of time, around 330 to 320 BC, there was rivalry between two major powers of the world, that is Greeks and the Persian. Both were fighting for supremacy of the world. Listen to the story. You'll understand each and everything in a very simplistic format. So basically it is said that both were fighting for supremacy of the world. Am I audible to everyone? Okay. So Persians and Greeks both were fighting for supremacy of the world. And finally, Alexander overthrew the Persian ruler. Now he had one of the most important intentions in his life, to conquer India. Now he wanted to conquer India because he was also attracted towards the wealth of India. But the second major reason was he also wanted to explore the entire world. He was keen of exploring the new geographical places. That is why he was keen of conquering India. And now he entered India through Khyber Pass. Khyber Pass is basically located in Hindu Kush Mountains, which is located on the borders of India and Afghanistan. So, through Khyber Pass, which is located in the Hindu Kush Mountains, Alexander entered into India. And when Alexander entered into India, all the rulers of northwest India or northern part of India meekly submitted to him. They showed a sort of a coward spirit, and without fighting a battle, they directly submitted to Alexander. They could have fought the battle, forget about being lost in the battle, but at least they could have fought the battle, but they did not fight any battle. And they meekly submitted in front of Alexander, except one, that was Porus. Porus showed exemplary courage in the Battle of Hydaspes. Hydaspes, ancient name of river Jhelum. So the battle between Alexander and Porus was fought on the banks of river Jhelum, which is also called as river Hydaspes. Are you getting the points clear? And in that case, Porus lost the battle, but he showed exemplary valor and courage. Alexander became so happy with the courage and the valor of this person, Porus, that he gave him back the kingdom. He not only gave him back the kingdom, he also expanded his kingdom by giving him extra territories. Are you getting the points clear? by giving him the extra territories. Now, it is said that basically now Alexander moved till the river Bias. But his soldiers were fighting battle, they were fighting war since past 6 years. By now, they were completely homesick. They were completely war weary. And now they wanted to go back to their own country. So Alexander did not move further into India. He just moved till river Bias. So if anybody has a confusion that Alexander conquered India, my friends, Alexander did not conquer India. He just moved towards the northern part of river Bias, where he erected 12 altars in his memory, so that in the coming years that people will know that this person, Alexander, moved till India. Are you getting the points clear? He never ever conquered India. So while returning back to his own country, it is said that he lived in India for approximately around 19 months. And while coming back, now he was coming back to his country. It is said that he gave back the kingdoms to the rulers from whom he had conquered the earlier kingdoms. And few of the kingdoms or few of the territories were handed over to his governors who were loyal to him. And it is said that his territories were basically divided into three parts. Hope so. Alexander's invasion is clear. We have got this point in a very simplistic and a story format. Are you getting the points clear? Now, let's get started with one of the most dynamic and one of the most biggest empire of India, that is Mauryan Empire. Let's get started, and let's get started with the first ruler of the Mauryan Empire, Chandragupta Maurya. The name, exactly the person behind this name, Chandragupta Maurya, who made Chandragupta Maurya, who made him such a renowned king, was Chanakya, also referred as Vishnugupta and Kautilya. So let's get started and let us understand about Chandragupta Maurya in a very simplistic format, in the format of a story. Are you getting the points clear? So that you'll remember all the concepts, you'll remember all the facts. Now listen to the story in a very, listen to me very keenly so that all your doubts are clear. Okay? Now, it is said that Chandragupta Maurya's father was a local ruler, and basically it is said that he was a leader of the Mauryan clan. Mauryan clan was a small clan basically. It was not that big kingdom. It was not that big dynasty. So he was a local ruler of the Mauryan clan, and he was a chief of the Mauryan clan. But he had some sort of animosity, getting the points clear, with the Nanda rulers, specifically Dhananand. And it is said that he was killed in a battle. Now, his mother, Chandragupta Maurya mother, escaped to a place called as Pushpapur, which later came to be called as Patliputra. And in that case, she was helped by her brother. That is simple words, maternal uncle of Chandragupta Maurya. Are you getting the points clear? Now, basically, it is said that now basically it is said that this after like when Chandragupta Maurya was born, he was kept with a hunter for the few days. Initially, he was kept with a cow herd. Then, few days later or few years later, he was sold to a hunter. Are you getting the points clear? Now, Chandragupta Maurya had some sort of animosity with the Dhananand, that is the last Nanda ruler. And because of the animosity, he was ordered to be killed. Getting the points clear? So he fled away. This is one part of the story. Now, second part of the story, I'll talk about Chanakya, whose name is Kautilya or Vishnugupta. Now, listen to the story in a very simplistic format. It is a very interesting story. Now, when it is said that when Chanakya was born, he had a symbol of snake on his teeth. Are you getting the points clear? So, he had a symbol of snake on his teeth, and one fine day, an astrologer visited his home and informed his mother that if your son has a symbol of snake on his teeth, one fine day he'll become a great king or one of the biggest ministers. Instead of being happy for that, Chanakya's mother started weeping. Are you getting the points clear? Chanakya came in and asked his mother, Why are you weeping? She explained the entire thing, what was told to her by the astrologer. Chanakya immediately picked up a stone and broke his teeth, which simply exemplifies that Chanakya never ever had the greed for power. But one fine day, Chanakya became one of the major ministers in the court of Dhananand. Dhananand was a very greedy ruler. He was a very cruel ruler. He imposed all sorts of taxes on his people, and after accruing the taxes, rather than spending these taxes for the welfare of the people, are you getting the points clear? Rather than spending these taxes for the welfare of the people, he spent for his lavish lifestyle. He sponsored for his lavish lifestyle. The people of his kingdom were very, like it is said that now they were they felt oppressed by their ruler. And now they came to Chanakya and requested him to explain the ruler Dhananand. On the request of the subjects, on the request of the people, Chanakya went to the Dhananand. Chanakya went to Dhananand and told him, "You are a king. Your people are asking for your help. Please help them out." Immediately, Dhananand was angry, and in the entire court, he said, "You are a Pandit. Do the work of Pandit. Do not explain me how an administration needs to be run." Chanakya felt humiliated, but he did not utter a word, and he moved out of the court. Dhananand's activities continued in the same manner. Are you getting the points clear? His activities continued in the same manner, and finally, one day, Chanakya again came back. Finally, Chanakya again came back to Dhananand and said, "You are not following your Rajya Dharma. A king should always follow his Rajya Dharma." He became so angry, Dhananand, that he kicked Chanakya in his chest. Immediately after kicking on his chest, he said that, "You will leave my kingdom right now." Chanakya felt so humiliated that he took up a vow in the entire court. "Until and unless I destroy your kingdom, I won't reveal my face. Until and unless I destroy your ego, I won't reveal my face." And now he left Patliputra and reached a place called as Takshashila. And at a place called Takshashila, he met a 14-year boy whose name was Chandu, that is Chandragupta Maurya. Are you interconnecting the two stories? Hope so the points are clear. So it is said that basically now he met this person, Chandu, at a place called as Takshashila. Now he gave all sorts of training to Chandu in sorts of warfare skill, scriptures, and so on. At that point of time, Alexander was coming in India. Like previously, we have discussed about Alexander. So, this person, Chanakya, implored Chandu or Chandragupta Maurya to go and join the army of this person because he was such a great king, Alexander. And he was great king not only because of hard work, he was a great king because he had employed certain strategies in his army. So, go and learn the techniques of warfare. Go and learn the strategies of warfare. So Chanakya requested to Chandragupta. Chandragupta Maurya went and learned various techniques from the army of Alexander. Now Chanakya is also called as Kautilya, which in Hindi means Kutnitikya, expert in all sorts of politics. Now he spread the rumor in the Alexander's army that all the what we say like gods and demigods of India are quite angry. All the gods and demigods of India are quite angry basically on Alexander. Alexander was not that superstitious, so he did not believe in these sorts of rumors. But his soldiers were quite war weary. They were homesick and now they wanted to go back to their country. So Alexander went back to his country. Now there was a sort of ego in Chanakya that if I have defeated the king like Alexander, who is Dhananand, without proper planning, without proper strategy, he directly attacked Patliputra. Are you getting the points clear? He directly attacked Patliputra. And now it is said that he saved his life by few, what we say, like he anyhow saved his life and got settled in a nearby village. He saw an incident which drastically changed his life. In a nearby village, a lady was feeding his child with a khichdi, and that child directly put his hand in the center of the place in the center of the plate, and his hand got entirely burnt. Getting the points clear? And his hand got entirely burnt. Now, it is said that his mother said, the child's mother said, "You are a fool like Chanakya. You should eat it from the circumference so that your hunger is sufficed as well as the khichdi gets cool." So Chanakya immediately realized his mistake and he came up with a new strategy that is called as Mandal theory or Saptang theory, which we are going to study in this chapter. Are you getting the points clear? And then he created an army of basically 7 lakh and then attacked the kingdom of Patliputra and dethroned the last Nanda ruler whose name was Dhananand. And in that case, Chandragupta Maurya took basically the help of one of the local Himalayan ruler whose name was Parvatak in defeating Dhananand. Hope so. The story till here is clear. Are you getting the points clear? Now I'll move further with the story again. Now, Greek and Latin literature mentions Chandragupta Maurya as Sandrokotas and Androkotas. I repeat, Sandrokotas and Androkotas. Now, a while back in the Alexander's invasion, I have told you one thing. When Alexander was going back to his own country, are you getting the points clear? When Alexander was going back to his own country, he gave back the territories to few rulers, and again he divided the certain territories among his loyal governors. Do you remember that? So one of the governor basically of Alexander, whose name was Seleucus Nicator, he wanted to avenge basically, or he wanted to fulfill the dream of Alexander of conquering India. Are you getting the points clear? Now, Seleucus Nicator attacked India, or Seleucus Nicator tried to conquer the northwestern and northern parts of India. But by now, the entire northern and the northwestern parts of India were under the rule of Chandragupta Maurya. And Chandragupta Maurya was not that Chandu now. He was one of the most powerful rulers of India because he had the backing of one of the most intelligent ministers whose name was Chanakya, who is flashing on your screen. So, Seleucus Nicator attacked India, and in that case, Seleucus Nicator was defeated. But so Seleucus Nicator was defeated, and there was a treaty signed between Chandragupta Maurya and Seleucus Nicator. So, as per the treaty, Seleucus Nicator had to surrender 4 major areas to Chandragupta Maurya. That is Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and Balochistan. I repeat, this person, Seleucus Nicator, had to submit 4 regions or 4 territories to Chandragupta Maurya: Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and Balochistan. In fact, Seleucus Nicator also married his daughter Helen to Chandragupta Maurya. And Chandragupta Maurya, it is said that he gave a gift of 500 elephants to Seleucus Nicator. Are you getting the points clear? Now, Chandragupta Maurya has had his administrative capital at Patliputra. So he could not look at the administration directly of the northwestern part of India, like the new territories I have told: Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and Balochistan. These form the northwestern part of India. So Chandragupta Maurya could not directly look at the administration of these areas. Are you getting the points clear? So in that case, Chandragupta Maurya appointed Pushyagupta as the governor of that region. And Pushyagupta directly informed Chandragupta about the administration of northwestern India. So Pushyagupta was appointed as the governor of northwestern India. That is Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and Balochistan. Hope so the story till this part is clear. Moving further. Now, it is said that Mauryan rulers were great road builders. Getting the points here, a road from Takshashila to Patliputra was constructed. Are you getting the points here? Patliputra is in east. Takshashila, which is in present day Pakistan, is in the west. So a road from east to west running from Patliputra to Takshashila was constructed during the tenure of Chandragupta Maurya. This facilitated the trade along this route. It is said that Mauryan rulers were also great, what we say, they were interested in all sorts of weapons. They employed all sorts of weapons basically in their strategy while fighting the wars. Okay. So Chandragupta Maurya employed all sorts of strategy while fighting the battle. Now listen to me. It is said that during the reign of Chandragupta Maurya, there was a famine in the region of Patliputra. Listen to the story. Listen to the story. It is again very interesting. There was a famine in the region of Patliputra. Now there were two group of monks in the. There were two group of Jain monks in the Patliputra. Now one group was led by Sthulbhadra and other group was led by Bhadrabahu. Due to famine in the region of Patliputra, Bhadrabahu and group of his followers moved to a place called as Shravan Belagola, which is in Karnataka. I'll repeat, he moved to the place called as Shravan Belagola, which is in Karnataka. Getting the points clear? 12 years later, they came back to Patliputra. And so there was ideological differences between Sthulbhadra and Bhadrabahu. And there was a break, there was a schism in Jainism. Getting the points clear? So the followers of the Bhadrabahu who went to Karnataka and came back to Patliputra after 12 years came to be called as Digambars. And those followers of Sthulbhadra who stayed at Patliputra itself were called as Shwetambars. Are you getting the points clear? So how is Chandragupta Maurya concerned with Shwetambar and Digambar? So it is said that basically when there was a famine in the region of Patliputra and Bhadrabahu was moving towards Shravan Belagola, Chandragupta Maurya also moved to Shravan Belagola along with them. He handed over the entire administration to his son Bindusar and moved to this region, Shravan Belagola. Getting the points clear? And it is said that he never came back to Patliputra. He committed Sallekhna. Sallekhna means starve to death. He will not drink anything, he will not have any food, and he will starve himself to death. So he committed Sallekhna in this region. So hope so Chandragupta Maurya is clear. Wasn't the story interesting? You learned many concepts, you learned many facts. So what are the sorts of questions in the exam? Which among the following rulers is referred as Sandrocotas or Androcotas? So Sandrocotas and Androcotas are the Greek or Latin terms for Chandragupta Maurya. This is the question being asked in the UPSC Prelims exam. Getting the points clear? Which among the following governors of Alexander attacked northwestern part of India? So it was Seleucus Nicator. Getting the points clear? So this is nothing but Chandragupta Maurya. Hope so the points are clear, my friends, about Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on with another important and another interesting ruler whose name is Bindusar. Again, we'll listen to a very interesting story, and you'll remember all the facts, you'll remember all the concepts. One more thing about Chandragupta Maurya I would like to say, that during the end of his reign, when he moved along with the Bhadrabahu to Shravan Belagola, he accepted Jainism. Because in the UPSC exam, there was a question, consider the following statements about Chandragupta Maurya. So one of the statement in the question was, Chandragupta Maurya accepted Jainism during the end of his reign. So this statement is correct. Hope so the points are clear. Let's move on with another interesting ruler whose name is Bindusar. Now, Bindusar is also referred as Amitra Ghat. Amitra. Mitra means friend. Amitra means enemy. Ghat means slayer or killer of enemies. This person is referred as Amitra Ghat, means he was slayer of foes. It is said that if any king was a friend of this person, Bindusar, and if he was in dire need of anything, Bindusar will always come to his help. But if anybody was his enemy, he would never keep an enemy. He would directly kill that enemy. That is why he is referred as Amitra Ghat, that is slayer of foes. Now, there is a very interesting story about his birth. This story might be, I'm saying might be, a hypothetical story. Listen to the story. Now, it is said that basically, when what we say, like, usually at that point of time, it is not necessary that you kill a ruler by fighting a battle. You can also kill a ruler in different ways. Many a times, the kings were being killed up by poisoning. Are you getting the points there? Like many a times, there was a sort of poison in the king's liquor. There was a sort of a poison in the king's food. Are you getting the points clear? So there were different ways of killing a king. So Chandragupta Maurya always used one technique. Every day, already, it is said that every day he used to add some sort of poison in the food so that his body gets venom resistant. Now, how it will get venom resistant? I'll give you a very small example. Suppose you have a cough and cold, and you always keep on taking all sorts of medicine for cough and cold. Are you getting the points clear? At that point of time, your cough and cold will get clear. But when you have heavy cough and cold and you take that medicine would be ineffective on your body. Why? Because your body has become resistant to that medicine. Similarly, that is why Chandragupta Maurya always added small doses of poison in his food so that his body gets venom resistant. Are you getting the points clear? Listen to the story. It's a very interesting story again. Now, one fine day, this person, Chandragupta Maurya, was having a dinner with his wife whose name was Durdara. And his wife was pregnant. She was approximately around 7 to 10 days away from delivery. Now, it is said that he forgot that there is some sort of poison in the food. He was habitual to that, but his wife was not that habitual to the food. So he started eating the food. After having 2 to 3 glasses of the food, he realized that there is a poison in the food, and I'm dining with my wife. And in that case, immediately there was a spurt. There was a spurt of blood from the mouth of Durdara. Now, Chandragupta Maurya immediately called Chanakya, and after diagnosing the body by the Vaidyas, by the doctors, it was realized that we can only save two people. We can only save one out of two. Either the baby, that is the fetus, or we can save Durdara. Now, after having word with Chanakya, it was decided that we need to save the fetus because he is going to carry forward the lineage of the Mauryan Empire. Are you getting the points clear? And it is said that immediately the head of the queen was cut so that all the blood would come out, and along with the blood, the entire poison will come out. Are you getting the points clear? Immediately it was cut. After that, the belly was cut, and from the belly, the fetus was taken out. And this fetus was kept in the goat's fetus. It is said that basically the fetus of a goat is fresh for 24 hours. Each day, one goat was cut, and this baby fetus was kept in the fetus of the goat. Finally, on the 7th or 8th day, the boy was born, and he was named as Bindusar. Why he was called as Bindusar? Because the first drop of the blood of the goat fell on his forehead. That is why it is called as the first drop, the first bindu of the blood of the goat fell on the child's head. That is why it is called as Bindusar. Wasn't the story interesting? Now, it is said that basically at that point of time, this person, Bindusar, was also called as Antiochates in the Greek terms. I repeat the point, he was referred as Antiochates. Now, it is basically said that At that point of time, listen to the story of Bindusar. Now, few texts mention that basically this person, Chandragupta Maurya, when Chandragupta Maurya went to Shravan Belagola and retired from the active politics and retired from his kingship after handing over the administration to his son Bindusar, his prime minister Chanakya also left the prime ministership. Few texts mention this, but few texts also mention that Chandragupta Maurya requested Chanakya to be the prime minister of his son Bindusar. So few texts mention that he was also the prime minister of Bindusar like his father Chandragupta Maurya. Are you getting the points clear? Now it is said that during the reign of Bindusar, there was a revolt in the region of what we say northwestern India. Few minutes back, I have discussed about four places: Kandahar, Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and Balochistan. Do you remember this? Northwestern province. It was placed under a governor whose name was Pushyagupt. Are you getting the points clear? So, at that point of time, during the reign of Bindusar, there was a revolt in the northwestern part of India. Now, it is said that one of the most able son, one of the most dynamic son, and one of the most dynamic rulers of India, Ashoka, was sent to Takshashila region to suppress the revolt. Ashoka was such a wicked nature personality that it is said that the revolt got automatically stopped when this person Ashoka reached the region of Takshashila. They directly submitted without fighting a battle. Are you getting the points clear? So there was a revolt in the region of Takshashila during the reign of Bindusar, and it was suppressed by his son whose name was Ashoka. Are you getting the points clear? Now listen to the further part of the story. Now Chanakya was one of the ministers in the court of Bindusar. Chanakya wanted one person, Subandhu, to become the minister in the court of this person, Bindusar. So Bindusar accepted this. Bindusar always accepted the major decisions of Chanakya because Bindusar knew that what we say like Chandragupta Maurya, the reason why Chandragupta Maurya was a renowned name was his father. Getting the points? Was Chanakya. Are you getting the points clear? So at this point of time, he said that I'll accept all your decisions. This person, Bindusar said, Chanakya, I'll accept all your decisions. Whom you want to appoint that person. So Subandhu was appointed as a minister in the court of Bindusar. But few days later, Subandhu started feeling jealous of Chanakya. Why? Because in every important decision, Chanakya took the advice, Bindusar took the advice of Chanakya and not Subandhu. And one fine day, Subandhu filled the ears of this person, Bindusar, with certain rumors. He said that Chanakya is responsible for killing your mother. Are you getting the points clear? So, slowly, there was a change in the behavior of Bindusar. He started hating Chanakya. He started ignoring Chanakya. This was observed by Chanakya, and Chanakya resigned from the post of prime ministership. Now, after resigning from the post of prime ministership, the administration was completely in doldrums. Are you getting the points clear? And one fine day, all the other ministers told Bindusar the true story about his birth. Are you getting the points clear? After this, Bindusar realized his mistake and he told Subandhu that go and convince Chanakya to come back and assume the prime ministership. And if he is not convinced, then I am going to behead you. Are you getting the points clear? This person Subandhu went on to convince this person Chanakya that please come and resume this prime ministership. Are you getting the points clear? Chanakya said only one statement to Subandhu. You can play politics. Politics is necessary for running the administration, but do not play politics with the founder of politics. Are you getting the points clear? And at this point of time, Chanakya did not come to his court. And finally, this minister Subandhu also retired and became a priest and became a monk. So this is one part of this is also one of the very interesting part of the story of Bindusar. Now, it is said that Bindusar believed in Brahmanism. He was staunch worshipper of Lord Shiva. But with the passage of time, he believed in something called as Ajivika sect. Ajivika is nothing but Nastic school of philosophy. So what is Ajivika all about? Let us understand. Now it is said that, for example, various religions say that one should help others, one should pray to God, one should be involved into philanthropic activities. These are said by various religions. One should go for a simple living. But Ajivika simply believes in one concept. It is not necessary you follow the virtues just in the name of religion. You can also follow the virtues because these virtues are good to be followed. Are you getting the points clear? If a particular religion says that you should help others, then and then you are going to help out others. Helping others is also a part of humanity. Isn't that so? So this is nothing but simple thinking of Ajivika sect. Hope so the points are clear. And this person, Bindusar, became the follower of Ajivika sect. So this is all about what we say Bindusar. So basically, it is said that Bindusar, during the end of the religion, during the end of his reign, became the follower of which sect? Ajivika sect. Chandragupta Maurya became the follower of which sect? Jainism during the end of his reign. Wasn't the story about Bindusar interesting? Now, which among the following rulers was called as Antriochates? Sandrokotas and Androkotas was Chandragupta Maurya and Antriochates was Bindusar. Points are clear? There was a revolt in the northwestern part of India during the rule of which of the Mauryan rulers? Who was it? Bindusar. The revolt was suppressed by which ruler? It was Ashoka. He was son of whom? Bindusar. Hope so the points are clear. So you can understand this. Isn't that so? We have seen the story. It is quite easier to remember the facts. It is quite easier to remember the concepts. Because why? It is in the format of a story. Isn't that so? Your work is simplified when it is in the format of a story. And exactly it is quite interesting as well. So did you understood Chandragupta Maurya? Did you understood Bindusar? Okay. Let's continue with another major ruler of India, Ashoka. He is also one of my favorite rulers. Not because of his nature, but the valor and the courage this person has. He is one of the most important rulers, like I will say, in the entire ancient India. I'm using the word ancient India. Two rulers I'm quite impressed by their valor. I'm quite impressed by their courage. One is Ashok and the other is Samudragupta of Gupta dynasty that we are going to study in the further lectures. This person, he has exemplified courage in a dynamic manner. Now listen to his story. Again, we'll go in the format of a story about Ashok. Okay, let us understand the story. Ashok basically means painless and without fear. A person who is completely fearless. That is the meaning of Ashok. Now, Ashoka was son of Bindusar and Shubhadrangi. I repeat, Bindusar and Shubhadrangi. Shubhadrangi was one of the wives of Bindusar. Now it is said that Bindusar was a Kshatriya and Shubhadrangi was a Brahmin. So she did not get that sort of a respect or she did not get that sort of a position in the royal family. And when Ashoka was born, all the other princes were treated as Kshatriya. And this person, Ashoka, was treated as a Brahmin. And so he did not get that similar level of respect in the, although he was a son of Bindusar itself, but he did not get that sort of respect what other kings, or sorry, what other prince got. Getting the points clear? But this person, like it is said that basically approximately around, including the cousins and real brothers, Ashoka had 100 brothers. Getting the points clear? He had 100 brothers. So, but he was one of Ashoka. He was one of the most dynamic, most experienced, and most talented. Plus, he was also accepted by the people as the ruler. Why? Because he had the abilities of leadership. He had that courage and valor. Now, Listen to me. In fact, it is said that even Bindusar to an extent did not like Ashok. And Bindusar wanted his other son Sushima to take over his kingdom. But at this point of time, Sushima was not that confident ruler. He was not accepted by the people as a ruler because he was not that expert in running the administration. And people were ready to accept Ashoka. Are you getting the points here? So there was some sort of politics. Let us understand it. Now, Mauryan Empire was a huge empire. It was extended from north to south, east to west. So there was a place basically called as Ujjain. So Ashoka was appointed as a governor of Ujjain by Bindusar. So the entire administrative affairs of Ujjain would be looked after by a person, Ashok. Listen to the story again. Would be looked after by the ruler, Ashok. So Ashoka was marching from Patliputra to this region, Ujjain. He halted at a place called as Vidisha. The ancient text mentioned Vidisha as Besnagar. Now, at a place called as Vidisha, he married a lady whose name was Devi. She was a daughter of a local banker. And after marrying Devi, it is said that he had three basically children from Devi. He had two sons and one daughter from Devi. Are you getting the points clear? He had two sons, Mahendra and Ujjainiya from Devi, and one daughter, Sangamitra, from this Devi. Hope so the story is clear till this part. I'll talk about the significance of Mahendra, Ujjainiya and Devi in the coming lectures or in the coming what we say slides. So now he further moved on to this region, Avanti. Now this person Ashok became very famous in the region of Ujjain, and this his success, his popularity could not be digested by his brother whose name was Sushima. Now Sushima was a very we can't say talented person. He was very expert in politics. Previously in Bindusar, I have told you one thing. During the tenure of Bindusar, there was a revolt in the region of northwestern India. Do you remember that? Yes. So at that point of time, Sushima suggested his father Bindusar to send Ashok to suppress the revolt. And why he wanted Ashok to go to this region Takshashila? Because Ashok would die in that revolt. Are you getting the points clear? So at that point of time, Sushima suggested his father Bindusar that Ashok should be sent to Takshashila. Are you getting the points clear? Now Bindusar asked this person, what we say Ashok, to go to Takshashila and suppress the revolt. Following the orders of his father, this person Ashok left for Takshashila. And I have said you previously, without any fighting, without any battle, without any sort of rebellion, the rebellion was already crushed because everybody was fearful of Ashoka. Ashoka was such a personality. Are you getting the points clear? Now, when Ashoka reached Takshashila, this person, Sushima, started what we say acquiring and started playing all sorts of politics so that the subjects or so that the people would come in his favor. Ashoka realized this, and Ashoka now decided that he is going to kill his brother. It is said that Ashoka killed 99 brothers except one brother Tissa. Are you getting the points clear? To become the emperor of the Mauryan Empire. So Ashoka killed 99 brothers and he was assisted by one of the major ministers in that. Are you getting the points clear? So he killed 99 brothers basically to acquire this throne. He was what we say like helped by a local minister whose name was Radha Gupt. Hope so this part is clear. Now Ashoka is also referred as Devanam Priya. Devanam Priya means most beautiful one. Sorry, Devanam Priya means beloved of all gods. Not only the people love him, in fact, even the gods love him. He is also called as Priyadarshi. Priyadarshi means most beautiful one. And people had given him the title Chand Ashok. Chand Ashok means Ashoka the fiercest. Because, like it is said, that this person Ashoka was a very wicked natured personality. He was very short tempered. He was very bad tempered person. So people had given him the title of Chand Ashok. That is Ashoka the fiercest. One of the most important events in the life of Ashoka was Battle of Kaling. or Kalinga War, which drastically changed the life of Ashok. It is said that more than 1 lakh persons were killed in the battle and 1,50,000 were made prisoners of war. Ashoka personally killed more than 10,000 persons. Are you getting the points clear? So Ashoka went back to his what we say. Ashoka went back to his palace and saw himself in the mirror. He was completely anointed from head to toe in the blood. Immediately, Ashoka laid down his weapons and said, "If this is the way of winning over the people, if this is how the king works, I won't be able to work in this manner." Immediately, he realized his mistake and he laid down his weapon and embraced Buddhism, which is based upon a very simple concept of peace and love. So it is said that Ashoka embraced Buddhism and he said that it is not necessary that you win over the people by war. You can also win over the people by love and peace. So he abandoned Bheri Ghosha, that is conquest over people by war, and he embraced Dhamma Ghosha, which is one of the most important tenets of Buddhism. Dhamma Ghosha means conquest over the people by love and peace. So immediately after the Battle of Kalinga, this person, like it is said that there was a drastic change in the behavior of Ashoka. Hope so the points are clear. Now, it is said that basically Ashoka became a staunch follower of Buddhism and he declared Buddhism as his state religion. Now, there are various stories concerning about him becoming a Buddhist. Now, it is said that he sent his daughter and son, Mahendra and Sangamitra. Do you remember Mahendra and Sangamitra? I've told you previously, I'll talk about their significance. So, he sent his daughter and son, Mahendra and Sangamitra, to a place called as Ceylon, which is nothing but present day Sri Lanka, to spread Buddhism there. He said his missionaries to 9 other parts of the world to spread Buddhism. Are you getting the points clear? But it is said that although he was a non-violent personality, but when it comes to Buddhism, sometimes he might get violent. I'll give you a very small example. Now, there was a small kingdom in the region of Bengal, which was called as Pundravardhan, and a local painter painted a picture in which Lord Buddha was bowing in front of Lord Mahavir. Buddha and Mahavir are approximately contemporary to each other. Getting the points clear? So a picture was painted in which Buddha was bowing in front of Lord Mahavir. Now it is said that many local rulers, their religious sentiments were hurted that Buddha is bowing in front of Mahavir. So they complained Ashoka. It is said that not only that painter was executed, killed, but 18,000 other Ajivika followers or the other followers of the or the 18,000 other people who are following different religions or sect were also killed. So this also exemplifies that Ashoka was staunch follower of Buddhism. What in Hindi we call as Kattar follower of Buddhism. Getting the points clear, he sent his son Mahendra and daughter Sangamitra to Sri Lanka or Ceylon along with a branch of a peepal tree under which the Buddha attained enlightenment. Hope so. The points about Ashok is clear. Isn't the story interesting? Isn't the pattern easy? Are you getting the points clear? Everything you remember in a very simplified format. So which among the following ruler is called as Devanama Priya? Ashok is referred as Devanama Priya. What is Devanama Priya? Beloved of gods. Which among the following rulers is called as Chand Ashok? Chand Ashok means what we say Ashoka the fiercest. So Ashoka is referred as Chand Ashok. Which Mauryan ruler embraced Buddhism during the end of his reign? It was Ashok. So Chandragupta Maurya accepted Jainism during the end of his reign. Bindusar accepted Ajivika sect during the end of his reign. And Ashok accepted Buddhism during the end of his reign. Hope so the points are clear in a systematic format. ठीक है. Now let's move further with Mauryan administration. Very important part. Let's talk about Mauryan administration in short. It will take hardly 15 to 20 minutes administration. Let us understand with Mauryan administration now. Hope so the points are clear about Ashok, about Bindusar and about Chandragupta Maurya. Now, let's start with King. Listen to me very carefully. Mauryan administration at that point of time is similar to our administration right now. Like, one of the highest dignitary we have is president. Below that we have prime minister, and after that we have other ministers. Are you getting the hierarchy? The first is president, followed by prime minister, followed by other ministers. You'll observe that same pattern was employed here as well. Now let us understand how. King was one of the most important tenets of the administration. Are you getting the points there? He was one of the most important tenets of the administration, and King acquired the highest position. Getting the points clear? He was administrative head. He was head of all the department. He directly scrutinized all the department. Are you getting the points clear? And now King was assisted in performance of his duties by Council of Ministers. And these Council of Ministers are called as Mantri Parishad. Are you getting the points clear? Now, listen to me very carefully. Mauryan Empire was quite a huge empire. And this Mauryan Empire was basically divided into 5 parts. I'll repeat, it was divided into 5 parts. Central part, northern or northwestern part, southern part, eastern part, and western part. In the central part, with the capital at Patliputra, King himself used to govern the administration. And at the other places, King appointed governor to look after the administration. Are you getting the points clear? In simple words, at the center we have Prime Minister or the President, and in the states we have Chief Minister or the governors. Are you getting the points clear? So King, he acquired the apex position of the administration. The administration was highly centralized in nature. What is centralized? King directly appointed the other minister. King had all sorts of rules and regulations in his hand, and it is said that there were judges. Are you getting the points clear? There was a proper system of justice, but the final justice was dispensed by the king himself. And king was assisted by council of minister in performance of his duties. And these council of ministers are called as Mantri Parishad. Hope so the points are clear. Moving with Mantri Parishad. Mantri Parishad are like council of ministers. Now listen. Suppose there are 25 ministers. Are you getting the points clear? Somebody is a road minister, somebody is a minister, a revenue, somebody looks after the revenue department, somebody looks after the excise department, somebody look after the ports department, somebody look after the agriculture department. So king cannot directly interact with all the ministers. So at this point of time, listen to me very carefully. At this point of time, among all the ministers, a person is appointed who will be representing all the ministers. Getting the points clear? Example. If president has to, I'm giving you a very small example. If president has to know about the situation of health in India, before calling the health minister of India, the president will ask the prime minister about it. Why? Because prime minister is basically representing the council of ministers. Are you getting the points clear? Similarly, the council of ministers were represented by a person who was prime minister and was called as Mantri Parishad Adhyaksha. What he was called as? Mantri Parishad Adhyaksha. And various portfolios were distributed with the council of ministers. And these portfolios were distributed by the king. On the advice of whom? On the advice of Mantri Parishad Adhyaksha or prime minister. Hope so the points are clear.